reporters wanted to ask about was that stimulus moment, the biggest oof moment of the entire debate, which we will play for you in just a moment. But I think even as people realize that that stimulus moment, the letters thing, was probably the most devastating moment of the debate last night, I think the more important thing here is that that moment itself fits a pattern. It is about this problem with Paul Ryan's brand, which I think earned him the vice presidential nomination. Paul Ryan's brand as a serious, principled policy guy, right? The more attention that Paul Ryan's record gets, the less that brand for him makes sense, to an almost ridiculous degree now. And some of these things got called out last night directly by Joe Biden in front of that giant TV audience. But not all of them got called out. I mean, I should say it this way. The first one happened right away, right at the top of the debate, where you could see this huge distance between what Paul Ryan says he believes and how he has behaved when he's had choices to make about these things that he says he has these beliefs about. So this was the beginning of last night's debate on the topic of Libya.
When we look weak, our adversaries are much more willing to test us. They're more brazen in their attacks, and our allies are less willing to...
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
Because not a single thing he said is accurate. First of all...
Be specific.
I will be very specific. Number one, this lecture on embassy security. The congressman here cut embassy security in his budget by $300 million below what we asked for.
That is true. Paul Ryan's House Republican caucus, where he is the budget guy, proposed slashing hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for embassy security last year. So Paul Ryan is there saying this embassy security has been under-resourced. Paul Ryan proposes cutting hundreds of millions of dollars from embassy security. That little perfect instance of hypocrisy, as well as the stimulus hypocrisy, were the things that got called out most overtly last night. But there are a ton of these problems in Mr. Ryan's record, and there's never been a brighter spotlight on it than there was last night. Like, there was this exchange on the military.
You don't cut defense by $1 trillion. That's what we're talking about. This invites weakness. Look, do we believe in peace through strength? You bet we do. And that means you don't impose these devastating cuts on our military.
Devastating cuts on our military. When Paul Ryan last night condemned those defense cuts as some nefarious Democratic idea that he is fighting valiantly against, he did not mention that he voted in favor of those exact same defense cuts. Also, on the issue of Medicare, I mean, maybe it's been said enough now that it doesn't need to be said every time, but once again, at the debate, Paul Ryan pounded his chest and criticized Democrats for a change in Medicare funding that he's denouncing on the campaign trail and last night as a $716 billion cut to Medicare. Well, that's a cut to Medicare that he put in his own Paul Ryan budget. You can be for that thing or you can be against that thing, but you cannot simultaneously be for that thing and against that thing. Not if we are supposed to take you seriously on policy, which is supposedly the whole idea of you. Which brings us to the issue of the stimulus. Today, TiVo said, not your personal TiVo, but like TiVo the company, said that this was one of the top 2 most watched moments in last night's debate.
Look at just the $90 billion in stimulus. And the vice president was in charge of overseeing this. $90 billion in green pork to campaign contributors and special interest groups.
I love my friend here. I'm not allowed to show letters, but go on our website. He sent me 2 letters saying, by the way, can you send me some stimulus money for companies here in the state of Wisconsin? We sent millions of dollars. You know why he said...
You did ask for stimulus money.
Sure he did. By the way,
on 2 occasions, we advocated for constituents who are applying for grants. That's what we do. We do that for all constituents who are applying.
I love that. I love that. This is such a bad program, and he writes me a letter saying, writes the Department of Energy a letter saying, the reason we need this stimulus, it will create growth and jobs. His words. And now he's sitting here looking at me.
The other nice additional hypocritical element of that is when he says green pork at the top, which I think is most of us discussing as it is. It's the idea that there would be alternative energy, green energy stimulus projects. The Associated Press today published a letter specifically for Paul Ryan asking for green pork stimulus funding for his district. Specifically, like electric cars and stuff, Paul Ryan was begging for that money. There is a pattern of hypocrisy here. Paul Ryan gets all of this credit as being a principled guy who stands by his convictions. But that brand is not supported by his record. And that has been true of his record forever, as long as he has tried to do that as a congressman, but campaign a different way. It's always been true of him, but now it is finally getting pointed out on live TV in front of 50 million people. Here's the other thing, though. What you just saw in that clip is Joe Biden sort of teaching other Democrats, I think, that you can actually defend Democratic policies. You can actually defend even the stimulus. You can defend the stimulus as good policy that even Republicans admit is good policy, instead of just leaving it out there as low-hanging political fruit that you are refusing to pick because the Republicans have said mean things about it. Joe Biden did not call out Paul Ryan on all of these instances of hypocrisy last night, but he did call him out on his hypocrisy and on the malarkey of their argument against the stimulus bill. Democrats have been totally afraid to run on the success of the stimulus, but by hitting Paul Ryan on it like Joe Biden did last night, maybe this opens up some new political territory for Democrats to take advantage of. We'll talk about that next with the great Chris Hayes.
This is Sheldon, whose long day setting up the news starts with arthritis pain and a choice. Take Tylenol or take Aleve, the #1 recommended pain reliever by orthopedic doctors. Just 2 Aleve can keep pain away all day. Back to the news.
Quit the corporate grind to start her own interior design business. She's got a growing list of clients she keeps in touch with using email marketing from ConstantContact.com. Constant Contact is easy and affordable. It lets her send out updates and photos that showcase her expertise and inspire her customers for only $15 a month. Her dream? To be the area's hottest interior design office. Right now, she just dreams of an office. Get a free trial at ConstantContact.com.
Pop in a whole new kind of clean with Tide Pods. Just one removes more stains than the 6 next leading packs combined. Hop in, stand out.
Building anything destined for outer space can be complicated and costly. That's why NASA used Siemens technology to help design and test its latest Mars rover before physically constructing it. The only way to simulate how something is going to behave on Mars is to do it in a virtual environment. And Siemens PLM software allows you to simulate conditions on Mars, the gravity, pressure, and temperature, and conduct tests virtually on Earth. For more, log on to usa.siemens.com.
Working a ranch leaves my skin dry and worn.
Rehydrate your skin with Gold Bond Ultimate Healing Lotion. 7 intensive moisturizers, healing aloe, relieves dry, rough skin.
Because my skin needs a little extra healing.
Gold Bond Ultimate.
This stuff really works.
The Health Insurance Helpline has been established to provide affordable health insurance for all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. For calling today, we'll send you a no-obligation, no-cost prescription savings card, which can save you up to 50% off your prescription.
The one and only Chris Hayes joins us next, and Frank Rich is coming up, too. We've got a big night. Stay with us.
Revolution is TV's most watched news show, and in a world without power,
What was that?
this is a game changer.
We're gonna blow up that train.
If they don't destroy the train, he'll use it to destroy them. Who are you? New Revolution, Monday after The Voice on NBC.
We're Team Cat, and we approve this message. Paid for by the pet lovers at Purina.
This is the first day of my life. Swear I was born right in the doorway. I went out in the rain, suddenly everything changed. They're spreading blankets on me.
You're not just looking for a house. You're looking for a place for your life to happen.